Vaishnava Thakura Doyara Sagara Dasa Karuna Kori O He Vaishnava Thakura Doyara Sagara Dasa Karuna Kori Diyapada Chaya Shoro He Amai Tomara Charana Dori Chaya Vega Dori Chaya Dosha Shodhi Chaya Guna Devodase Chaya Satsanga Viho He Amare Boshachi Sangira Ashe Ikaki Amar Nahi Pai Balo Harinama Sankirtane Tumi Kripa Kori Shadabindu Diya Deho Krishna Nama Dhane Krishna se tomar, Krishna dite paro, tomara shakti ache. Amito Ganga, Krishna Krishna Boli, Daidava Pache Pache. Oh He Vaishnava Thakura Doyara Sagara Dasa Karuna Kori Jaya Vaishnava Thakur Vaishnava Thakur Vaishnava Thakur Jaya Vaishnava Thakur Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Ujjvala Varana Gora Varadeham Vilasita Niravari Bhava Videham Tribhuvana Pavana Krupayalesham Tam Pranamami Cha Shri Shachitanayam Gadgadam Tarabhava Vikaram Durjana Tarjana Dada Vishalam Bhavabhaya Vajana Karana Karunam Tam Pranamami Cha Shri Sachitanayam Arunam Bharatara Charu Kapolam Indu Vindindita Nakachaya Ruchiram Jalpita Nija Guna Nama Vinodam Tam Pranamami Cha Shri Sachitanayam Vigalita Nayana Kamala Jaladaram Bhushana Navarasa Bhava Vikaram Gatiyati Mantara Nritya Vilasam Tam Pranamami Cha Shri Sachitanayam Chanchala Charu Charana Gati Ruchiram Manjira Ranjita Parajuga Mathuram Chandra Vimindita Shitala Varanam Tam Pranamami Cha Shri Sachitanayam Dhritakati Dora Kamandaludandam Divyakale Varamundita Mundam Jurjana Kalmasha Kandana Dandam Tan Pranamami Cha Shri Sachitanayam Bhushana Buraja Lakavalitam Kampita Bintara Vara Ruchiram Malayaja Virachita Ujjvala Tilakam Tam Pranamami Cha Shri Sachitanayam Nindita Kamala Dalanayanam Ajadulambita Shri Bhujadugalam Kevala Kaishora Nartaka Vesham Tam Pranamami Cha Shri Sachitanayam Ujjvala Vana Kula Bharateham Ilashita Niravari Bhava Videham Sachinandana Jaya Sachinandana Jaya Sachinandana Jaya Gaura Hari Jaya Sachinandana Jaya Sachinandana Jaya Sachinandana Jaya Gaura Hari Vivabari Shesha Aloka Pravisha Ititan Jiva Bolo Hari Hari Mukunda Murari Rama Krishna Hayaki Viva Shingavamana Shimaru Sudaka Prajendra Nandana Shama Bhutana Katana Kaitava Shatana Jai Dasa Ratri Rama Yashoda Dhulala Govinda Gopala Vrindavana Purandara Gopi Priya Jana Radhika Ramana Bhuvana Sundara Bhara Ravana Takara Makana Taskara Gopi Jana Vastrahari Brajera Rakala Gopa Vrindapala Chittahari Bangshidhari Yogindra Bandana Shinandanandana Prajajana Bhayahari Kavina Nirada Rupam Manohara Mohana Bamshi Vihari Yashodanandana Kamsani Sudana Nikunjara Savilase Kadamba Kanana Rasa Shara Jojakama Gopamana Chitta Vinodana Samasta Guna Gana Dhamma Jamuna Jivana Kiriparayana Banascha Chandra Chakora Nam Sudarasa Gal Krishna Jasa Raghava Chandra Maramura Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Go Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Nitai Go Hari Bo. Nitai Go to Brahma.
Jivana Sadapapirata Nahi ko punyeralesha Nahi ko punyeralesha
Svara Parama Krishna Samchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam Chintamani Prakada Sadma Sukalpa Vriksha Laksha Vriteshu Surabhira Vipalayantam Lakshmi Sahasra Shata Sambrama Sevyamanam Govinda Mari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Venum Kvanantam Madhavindandalaya Taksham Bharhavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandarpakoti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govinda Mari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Alola Chandra Kalasadvala Malya Vamshi Ratnangadam Pranayakeli Kalavilasam Mamdri Bangaladitam Niyata Prakasham Govinda Mari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasya Sakalendriya Vritti Pashyanti Panti Kalayanti Chiram Jaganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadujvala Vigrahasya Govinda Mari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Advaitam Achutim Anadim Anantarupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayauvanam Sha Vedeshu Dulama Madhulama Matva Bhaktau Govinda Mari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Pantastu Koti Shatavatsara Sambrakamyo Vayoradhapi Manaso Muni Pungavanam Sopyasti Apraparasinya Vichintya Tatve Govinda Mari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Ekopya Saura Charitum Jagaranda Kotim Yat Shakti Rasti Jagaranda Chayaya Danta Andantarasta Paramanu Chayantarastam Govinda Mari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Yad Bhava Bhavitadiyo Manujastataiva Samprapya Rupa Mahima Shayanana Bhusha Suktadyameva Nigama Pratitaistu Vanti Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavitavis Tabirya Eva Nijarupa Taya Kalabhi Goloka Eva Nivasahya Kilatma Bhuto Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santaksadeva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundaram Achintya Kunaswarupam Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Ramari Mutishukalani Amena Tishtan Nanavataram Karod Bhuvanesha Kintu Krishna Swayam Samavavat Paramapumanyo Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Yasya Prabha Prabhavato Jagadanda Koti Koti Shishesha Vasudari Vibhuti Binam Tad Brahma Nishkalam Anantam Ashesha Bhutam Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Maya Hiyasya Jagadanda Shatani Sute Traigunya Tad Vishaya Veda Vitayamana Sattva-valambi Parasattvam Vishuddha Sattvam Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Ananda Chinmaya Rasatmataya Manasu Yapraninam Pratipalam Smarutam Upetya Lilayatena Bhuvanani Jayatya Jastram Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Golokanamni Nijadamni Chaleta Tasya Devi Mahesha Haridama Suteshu Teshu Tete Prabhava Nichaya Vihitasya Yena Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Shristi Stiti Pralaya Sarana Shakti Rekha Chayeva Yasya Bhuvanani Vibharati Durga Ichchanurupam Apiyasya Chacheshtatesa Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Shiram Yatara Vikara Vishesha Yogar Sanjayate Nahitata Pradagasti Heto Yashambhutam Apitata Samupaiti Karyad Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Diparcha eva hidashantanam abhyupetya Dipayate pravata hetu samana dharma Yastadrageva hicha vishnu chaya vibhati Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Yakarnarnava jale bhajati sma yoga Nidramananta jagadanda sadama kupa Adhara Shaktim Avalamya Param Samurtim Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Yashaika Nishvasita Kalamatavalamya Jivanti Loma Vilaja Jaganandanatha Vishnur Mahansa Ihayasya Kala Vishesho Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Hasmanyatas Kaleshu Nijeshu Teja Swiyam Kiya Prakatayat Tabitadvadatra Brahmaya Esha Jagadanda Vidhana Karta Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Yat pada pallava yugam vinidaya kumbha Tvande pranama samaye saganadi rajaha Vignan vidhantav alabasya jagatrayasya Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Agnir mahi ganganamam murudishascha Kalastatatma manasiti jagatrayani Yasmad bhavanti vishanti yamsha Govindamari purusham tamaham bhajami Yat shakshudesha sapita sakalagrahanam Raja samasta suramurti rashesha tejaha Yasjagnaya brahmati samritakala chakro Govindamari purusham tamaham bhajami Dharmo tapapanichaya shutayastapamsi Brahmadikita pataka vadayasya jivaha Yadatra matra vibhava hakata prabhava Govindamari purusham tamaham bhajami Yastvindra gopamatabindra mohosa karma Bandhanu rupa palabhajana matanoti Karmani nirdahati kintu cha bhakti bhajam Govindamari purusham tamaham bhajami Yam krodha kama sahaja pranayari piti Vatsalya moha guru gaurava sevya bhavai Santincha tassa satrishim tanamapurete Govindamari purusham tamaham bhajami Govindamari purusham tamaham bhajami Shriya kanta kanta parama purusha kalpataravo Druma bhumischintamani garamayi toyam amritam Kata ganam natyam kamanam apipamshi priyasaki Chidanandam jyoti paramapi tarasvadyam apicha Sayatra shirabdhi sravati surabhibhyasya sumahan Nimeshardhyakyo va vratitina hi atrapi samayaha Vaje shveta dvipam tamaham iha golokamitiyam Vidantaste shantakshiti viralachara katipaye Ato vacha mahavishnu bhagavantam prajapatim Brahman mahatva vijnane prajasarge chachinmati Pancha shloki mimam vidyam vatsatatvam nibodame Prabhude jnana bhakti vyam atmayananda chinmayi Ude tunatama bhaktir bhagavat prema lakshana Pramanaistat saracharaistaravyaser nirantaram Bodhayanat manatmanam bhaktim apyutamam labe Yasya shreyaskaram nasti yaya nivritum apnuyat Yasadayati mameva bhaktim tameva sadayet Dharmananyan parityaja mamekam cha vishwasan Yadrishi adrishi shraddha siddhir bhavati tadrishi Kurvan nirantaram karma loko yamunavartate Tenaima karmana dhyayam param bhaktimicchati Aham hi vishwasya characharasya picham pradhanam prakritihi pumamsya Maya hitam teja idam vivarshi vide videhi tomato jaganti Ishvara parama Krishna Sakchidananda vigraha Anadiradir govinda sarva karana karanam Iti Sri Brahma Sangita Sampurnam Hari Om Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Giri Varadhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Giri Varadhari Jaya Jashodanandana Jaya Vraja Janaranjana Jaya Jashodanandana Jaya Vraja Janaranjana Jaya Jamuna Tirajanachari Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Jamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Giri Varadhari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Dena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. From the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the anticipation of Sri Radhashtami, we begin by discussing the context in which we hear about Srimati Radharani and how important it is. It's emphasized throughout the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, but in the discussion between Shukadeva Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit, we find that during the discourse that Shukadeva is giving, speaking the Srimad Bhagavatam, to Parikshit Maharaj on the bank of the Ganga, he notices that there are many different kinds of people in the audience. If you've ever had this experience when you're speaking and then you think it's one audience and then somebody else comes in, or the audience switches. Maybe somebody's listening. I've seen this at Sadhu Sangha. There's a doorman standing at the door. He's paid to be there as a guard, but he's listening to the Bhagavatam class. And while I'm speaking, I know that all devotees are there, but there's a doorman there also. And I'm thinking, what should he hear? One living entity listening is very powerful. I don't know how much he's listening, but Malati was at our house the other day, and she told us about how Prabhupada had a driver they had hired while they were in London, and they were at Albert Hall giving programs. And the driver would come in to the hall and he would listen to everything. But he was very proper, British person, and he never said anything. He didn't comment. When Prabhupada would get back in the car each day, he would just do his job. Open the door for Prabhupada, close the door, get back in, drive to the place, open the door and let him out. And he pretty much kept to himself. But one night, Srila Prabhupada began dancing on the stage. And Malati says she noticed that he wasn't touching the ground. And Prabhupada was in ecstasy. The crowd was engaged and the Maha Mantra was sweet. And then she said when the doorman, the driver, that is, was opening the door for Prabhupada and then closed it, the window was open and he nudged Prabhupada with the shoulder and said, "You got a little bit out of hand dancing tonight, right?" And in that time that he was with Prabhupada, he was listening to some of the talks and also appreciating the environment. So we don't know who's listening. Anyway, in In the Bhagavatam itself, Parikshit mentions Vasudeva Katha Prashna Purusham Strin Punatihi Vaktaram Prachakam Shrotrims Tatpada Salilam Yata. There are three kinds of people who get benefited by hearing the Bhagavatam. One is the speaker, the other is the intent listener, and the third is everybody else in between, including the doorman and the driver, anybody who may be around who hears the Bhagavatam. But in any case, at the Ganga, when Shukadeva was speaking, he saw that some people had a doubt, because in the 10th canto, Shukadeva begins speaking about Krishna's pastimes with the gopis, which at the end of the chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam says, Vikriditam vrajavadurir ahamcha Vishnu, shradhanvito nashinuhyad atavarna yedya. Bhaktim param bhagavati prati labhyakama bhridrogam ashvapahinot yacharina tira. Which is that if somebody has the proper faith, shradhanvito nashinuyat, and hears with that faith, means also, it really means submissive hearing. I'm appreciating that this is coming from a divine source, and that it's perfect knowledge, and so forth. Then, hridrogam ashvapahinot yacharina, then very quickly, the dread disease of the heart, which is kama, material desire, is vanquished. One becomes fully attached to hearing about Krishna. And that means when one becomes attached to Madan Mohan, then one no longer has a taste for the material world. The RV park, the stupid television shows, sitcoms, all different kinds of restaurants, nightclubs. We could go on and on. There's an endless churning of the three modes of material nature, everyone trying to find some little taste. Prahlad Maharaj says, Punak punas charvita charvananam. They're chewing and chewing and chewing, and then they spit it out, and they look. It's like, what else are we going to do? As kids, I remember saying, what do you want to do today? I don't know. What do you want to do today? And that's what all living entities are saying. What do you want to do today? I don't know. What do you want to do today? I don't know. Let's try the same thing we've done for millions of lifetimes and see if we can get something out of it, even though we never have. Punak punas charvita charvananam. So some living entities are at a higher level. In fact, the Vedas are written in such a way to appeal. It's a big project to people in different modes of material nature. Some are in the mode of ignorance, and some Puranas actually appeal to their sense of the mode of ignorance just so they can raise them to the mode of passion. That's a big step to reach Rajaguna. So many people were there in the audience, and Shukadeva Goswami noticed it. So Parikshit Maharaj, in explaining to Parikshit Maharaj about Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan, especially with the gopis of Vrindavan, means they were unmarried girls. They came to the forest to dance. And so this is morally reprehensible for somebody to allure young girls into the forest and then dance with them. So, and if you look around India, you'll find pictures everywhere, rasa dance here or there. People just display it wherever without actually knowing what it is. It could be on the side of a bus or a logo or something like that. And people, yes, this is Mother India, but what do they know about it? And if they're challenged by someone that says, what does it mean? How is it that your God is dancing with young women in the middle of the night? This is an important prelude to the Shri Radhashtami on Monday, because in order to understand Srimati Radharani, we must understand her ontological position first, which Ananda Chinmay Rasa Pratibhavitavis Tabirya Eva Nijarupataya Kalavi Goloka Eva Nivasatya Kilatma Bhuto Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Radharani and the gopis, and of course everyone else, but the internal potency of Krishna is manifesting in the form of Srimati Radharani eternally. It's an expansion of him. So Shukadeva Goswami begins to address the doubts of certain people in the audience who can't understand, don't have the context. And that's where I'm picking up in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, if that's agreeable to everybody. Nitai? Okay? All right. This is from 10th canto, 33rd chapter, verses number 26 through 27. Parikshit Maharaj said, is everyone all right? O Brahmana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord of the universe, has descended to this earth along with this plenary portion to destroy irreligion and reestablish principles. Religious principles. Indeed, he is the original speaker, follower and guardian of moral laws. How then could he have violated them by touching other men's wives? So this is Parikshit Maharaj. As Shukadeva Goswami was speaking, King Parikshit noticed that some persons seated in the assembly on the bank of the Ganges were harboring doubt about the Lord's activities. These doubtful persons were karmis, jnanis, and others who were not devotees of the Lord. To clear up their doubts, King Parikshit asked this question on their behalf. O faithful upholder of vows, please destroy our doubt by explaining to us what purpose the self-satisfied Lord of the Yadus had in mind when he behaved so contemptuously. Purport, it is clear to the enlightened that these doubts will arise in the minds and hearts of persons unfamiliar with the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. Therefore, since time immemorial, great sages and enlightened kings like Parikshit Maharaj have openly raised these questions to provide the authoritative answer for all posterity. Could you look the word up, please? Does anybody know what posterity means and where it comes from? Well, it's got the word post in it, doesn't it?
Hello? Posterity is a noun which means all future generations of people.
Can you tell us more about the word, please?
It comes from Latin posterus, and then Latin posteritas, and then Old French posterite, to posterity. Posterous means following.
Means what?
Following.
Following. Okay. For all future generations. Posterity. So, oftentimes we find throughout in the Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna asks a question and Srila Prabhupada or one of the acharyas will say, well, he's not asking for himself. He's asking for future generations who might say, like, hey, what about this? So this is the mercy of the devotees. When they're hearing, they're considering the audience also. You know that when Vidura began to speak to Maitreya, it's noted that, how is it noted in Srila Prabhupada's purport? Prabhupada notes that there's a way in which he starts, does Vidura, by asking very simple questions about the creation. He could ask very rasika questions about Krishna's confidential pastimes, but he asks about the very basics. And Prabhupada notes that this is the mercy of a Vaishnava to ask on behalf of everybody, how does it all start? And what are the foundational parts of Krishna consciousness, so everyone will know. So you can see that even during this most important time, 7 days only he had to live. I should say, he had only 7 days to live. And it's every moment is vital. And now they're taking time, Parikshit and Shukadev, to shift down and give this explanation to people in the audience who are maybe giving some kind of tell by, what? You can see from their countenances, or maybe they're intuiting that the people are not understanding. So they're catering to the audience. And this is an important principle of Krishna consciousness. We find that the devotees are thinking not just about themselves, let me hear the nectar, but they're thinking, are other people going to get this? How will they understand? Please, Prabhupada said when he's on the Jaladuta, if you so desire, then they'll understand this Bhagavatam. How else will they understand unless you empower them? So this is part of the hearing process one is considering, as are Shukadeva and Parikshit. Who's in the audience? How will they understand it as well? Posterity. Shukadeva Goswami said, the status of powerful controllers is not harmed by any apparently audacious transgression of morality. We may see in them, audacious, please. For they are just like fire, which devours everything fed into it and remains unpolluted. This is a very important verse, and it's one that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur often quoted when questions came up about how could Lord Shiva do this? How could Brahma do such and such? And this is a definitive verse that the status of powerful controllers is not harmed by any apparently, important word, audacious transgression of morality, apparently audacious. We may see in them, for they are just like fire, which devours everything fed into it and remains unpolluted. Audacious?
There's
500.
two meanings?
Pardon me?
There's two meanings. Two meanings.
Oh, well, that's good.
It's an adjective, and the first one is showing a willingness to take surprisingly bold risks. And the second one is showing an impudent lack of respect.
Wow. Can you say more about where it comes from?
It comes from Latin, audire, which means dare, and Latin, audax, bold, and English, ius.
Okay. Did you already take your, what are those things called, SAT? Did you take it already?
No, she took it.
Yeah, but you're going to take it next.
Yeah.
These words will probably be on there. Posterity and audacious. Like, yep, I know that. I heard it in the Bhagavatam class. Okay. Great, potent personalities are not ruined by an apparent transgression of moral principles. Sridhar Swami mentions the examples of Brahma, Indra, Soma, Vishvamrita, and others. A fire devours all that is fed into it, but the fire does not change its nature. Similarly, a great personality does not fall from his position by an irregularity in behavior. In the following verse, however, Shukadeva Goswami makes it clear that if we try to imitate the great personalities ruling the universe, the result will be catastrophic. Naitat sama charej jatu manasapi hyanishvara vinashyat yacharan maudyad yata ruto badi janm visham. One who is not a great controller should never imitate the behavior of ruling personalities, even mentally. If out of foolishness an ordinary person does imitate such behavior, he will simply destroy himself. Just as a person who is not Rudra would destroy himself if he tried to drink an ocean of poison. So Rudra means Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva is famous for having saved the universe because when the demigods and demons churned the ocean, if you want to know more about it, you can go to the airport in Thailand, and there's a depicting scene depicting the churning of the ocean by the demigods and the demons. right when you come out of the security area. Or you can read the Bhagavatam. In any case, the first thing that came out in their project together was poison. So don't be surprised if in any of your projects you get a little something like that to begin with. And they had to pray to Lord Shiva, who mercifully said, sure, I'll do it. And his wife said, yeah, go ahead. He drank it, he held it in his throat, therefore he's known as Nilakanta, because it turned his throat blue. An emblem of his tapasya for the benefit of other living beings. And it's Shukadeva Goswami notes it there. He says, Tapyante luktapena sarva prayasojana parama aradanantadi purushasya akiladmana. That it is noted that great souls almost always take on suffering for the benefit of others. And that this is the parama aradanam. It's the highest way of worshiping the Supreme Personality of Godhead who's within everyone's heart. Tapasya. Lord Shiva or Rudra once drank an ocean of poison, and the result was that an attractive blue mark appeared on his neck. But if we were to drink even a drop of such poison, we would die immediately. Just as we should not imitate this pastime of Shiva's, we should not imitate Lord Krishna's activities with the gopis. We should clearly understand that while Lord Krishna certainly descends to demonstrate religious principles, he also descends to demonstrate that he is God and we are not. That also must be demonstrated. The Lord enjoys with his internal potency and thus attracts us to this spiritual platform. We should not try to imitate Krishna, for we will suffer severely. 31. Ishvaranam vachas satyam tathaiva charitam kvachit tesham yat swavacho yuktam buddhi mans tad samacharet. The statements of the Lord's empowered servants are always true, and the acts they perform are exemplary when consistent with those statements. Therefore, one who is intelligent should carry out their instructions. Could you please read the purport?
The word Ishvara is usually defined in Sanskrit dictionaries as Lord, Master, Ruler, and also as capable, potent to perform. Srila Prabhupada often translated the word Ishvara as controller, which brilliantly synthesizes the two fundamental concepts of Ishvara, namely a master or ruler and a capable or potent person. A master may be incompetent, but a controller is a master or lord who in fact makes things happen. The Parameshvara, the Supreme Ishvara, the Supreme Controller, is of course God, Krishna, the cause of all causes. Although people in general, especially in the Western countries, are not aware of the fact powerful personalities control our universe, the modern impersonal concept of the universe depicts an almost totally lifeless cosmos in which the earth floats meaninglessly.
Just 1 second. I was thinking this morning when we were doing Ujvara Varana, how dependent I am on the devotees in the booth, because if I don't know the next line, I just stand there, and it has to switch over. And I was thinking about our relationship, the Adidaivik relationship we have with the demigods. That if the sun, they don't make the sun shine, I can't see anything. I was like, what are you going to help me out here? So we have this symbiotic relationship, Prabhupada explains in the second canto of the Bhagavatam, the Adidaivik relationship with the controllers of the universe. And they depend on us also. It's an interdependent relationship. As you know from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, they depend on our yajna. It's definitely a karmic relationship that we have. They supply, we also give back. Of course, if we stop doing yajna, then what you get is California 2021. Or you can take the East Coast either, also. No yajna, either too much rain or not enough rain, is one of the points that's brought up in the Bhagavatam and also in the Bhagavad Gita. Please continue.
Thus, we are left with the dubious ultimate purpose of preserving and reproducing our genetic code, which has its own ultimate purpose of adding another link to the meaningless chain of events by again reproducing itself. In contrast...
Can you explain that last line, please? Just let's look at it again. Just read it one more time. Just give a little explanation what he's saying.
Okay. Thus we are left with the dubious ultimate purpose of preserving and reproducing our genetic code, which has its own ultimate purpose of adding another link to the meaningless chain of events by again reproducing itself.
It's a pejorative statement, right? It's just, go ahead.
Oh, I'm actually not too sure, but...
All right, back up one more sentence. Now read that, the modern impersonal concept.
The modern impersonal concept of the universe depicts an almost totally lifeless cosmos in which the earth floats meaninglessly. Thus, we are left with the dubious ultimate purpose of preserving and reproducing our genetic code, which has its own ultimate purpose of adding another link to the meaningless chain of events by again reproducing itself.
What do you think? Yeah.
So I think it's referring to how those who are not aware of our philosophy or even a bigger purpose of life just think that everything kind of happens by chance. There's a random floating ball in space, like the earth floats meaninglessly. And we came out of like compounds in earth, and our only purpose of life is to reproduce our genetic code. And towards the end of the sentence, ultimately it's useless because the chain of events is meaningless unless you give it meaning through like spiritual knowledge.
Very good. Haribol. Does anybody know the song by Mangala Ananda about how we descended, our ancestors are apes, and we've evolved from protoplasmic crud? Can you find that on the internet? The lyrics to that song? What's his name? Michael Cassidy? Mangalananda, must be Michael Cassidy. And subatomic bumping, you can look up that phrase. Subatomic bumping, Michael Cassidy, or Mangalananda. The lyrics to that song very much explain this last section. Subatomic bumping, you found it? Where is it? Look on YouTube. Go to YouTube, you'll find the song also. We'll look at the lyrics. What is it? Protoplasmic crud. You got it? Yay! See on YouTube if the song is there. We'll hear a little bit of the song. You want to hear a song? Only half of you want to hear a song. Okay. Make sure you empower. Okay, there you go. Turn off ads.
Well, his parents both were monkeys who had crawled out of the mud. He was simply made of matter and protoplasmic crud, formed by subatomic bumping in a random sort of way, with no goal and no direction, simply animated clay. Made complete by evolution, he finally learned to walk, although nothing needed saying. He somehow learned to talk, and he built a vast dominion in which each thing had its use, saying all this leads to nothing, life's a complicated ruse. Then he gave himself a title, himself a PhD, gave himself the job of teaching this insane philosophy. Though he claims we're going nowhere, we are told that we should hurry. And though we're only chemicals, the chemicals still worry. But now science has the answer to the problems of our race. They've made billion-dollar rockets to bring rocks from outer space. Yes, their ancestors were cavemen, and they've shown it through the ages by their inability to listen to the sages. Now the answer to this riddle, should they ever care to hear it, is that matter cannot move until it's touched by spirit. But it's hard to teach a monkey the things he cannot feel, and it's hard to show a caveman what's beyond his cave is real. But the hardest thing of all is showing the absurdity of claiming life's an accident to men with no humility. Well, his parents both were monkeys who had crawled out of the mud. He was simply made of matter in protoplasmic blood, formed by subatomic bumping in a
It's movie day here at Bhagavatam class. Everyone's happy and awake. So Mangalananda is a great devotee. He wrote many, many songs, dozens if not hundreds of songs. We should have some, as Havi Prabhu had suggested to me, an inner ISKCON Grammys award or Lifetime Achievement Award, especially for Mangalananda Prabhu, because he so expertly rendered the philosophy into various songs, which many of you probably missed, right? I'm glad to be able to introduce it to you. Okay, would you like to continue? Please do.
In contrast to this sterile, meaningless world concocted by ignorant materialists, the actual universe is full of life, personal life, and in fact full of God, who pervades and supports all that exists. The essence of reality is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his personal relationship with the innumerable living beings, of whom we are samples. Some of the living beings are trapped in the illusion of materialism, or identification with the material body, while others are liberated, aware of their eternal spiritual nature. A third class comprises those progressing in self-realization from the materialistic state of ignorance to the enlightened state of Krishna consciousness. Reality is ultimately personal and divine, and therefore it is not surprising that, as the Vedic literature reveals to us, our universe and other universes are managed by great personalities, just as our city, state, and country are managed by empowered personalities. When we democratically award a particular politician the right to govern, we vote for him because he has exhibited something we call leadership or ability. We think he'll get the job done. In other words, it is only after an individual acquires the power to govern that we vote for him. Our vote does not make him a leader, but rather recognizes a power in him coming from some other source. Thus, as Lord Krishna explains at the end of the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, any living being exhibiting an extraordinary power, ability, or authority must have been empowered by the Lord himself or by the Lord's energy. Those directly empowered by the Lord are devoted to him, and thus their power and influence spread goodness throughout the world, whereas those who are empowered by the Lord's illusory potency are in an indirect relationship with Krishna because they do not directly reflect his will. Of course, they do reflect his will indirectly, since it is by Krishna's arrangement that the laws of nature act upon ignorant living beings, gradually persuading them, through their journey of many lifetimes, to surrender to the Supreme Lord. Thus, as politicians create wars, false hopes, and innumerable passionate schemes for the materialistic persons who follow them, the politicians are indirectly carrying out the Lord's program of allowing the conditioned souls to experience the bitter fruit of godlessness. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur has translated the word Ishvaranam as those who have become powerful through knowledge and austerity. As one understands the nature and will of God and makes the personal sacrifice required to achieve excellence in spiritual life, one becomes empowered by the Supreme Lord to represent his will, which one has intelligently recognized and accepted. The Supreme Personality of Godhead kindly descends to earth to show a vivid example of religious behavior. As Lord Krishna states in the Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter, 24th verse, "If I did not execute standard duties, the whole world would be misled and in fact destroyed." Thus the Lord showed in his different incarnations how to act properly in this world. A good example is Lord Ramachandra, who behaved wonderfully as the son of King Dasharath. But when Lord Krishna himself descends, he also demonstrates the ultimate religious principle, namely that the Supreme Lord is beyond all other living beings and that no one can imitate his supreme position. This foremost of all religious principles, that the Lord is unique, without equal or superior, was clearly demonstrated in Lord Krishna's apparently immoral pastimes with the gopis. No one can imitate these activities without incurring dire consequences, as explained here by Shukadeva Goswami. One who thinks that Lord Krishna is an ordinary living being subjected to lust, or who accepts his rasa dance as admirable and tries to imitate it, will certainly be vanquished, as described in text 30 of this chapter. Finally, a distinction must be made between the Lord and his empowered servants. An empowered servant of the Lord, as in the case of Brahma, may experience a remnant of reactions to previous activities, according to the law of karma. But the Lord is eternally free from any entanglement in the laws of karma. He is on a unique platform.
Now we have a 3-minute intermission. Be back here in 3 minutes. Hare Krishna.
abhaya charanara ajahude Vajahude malang vinandanandana abhaya charanara Lulabamanaba janama satsange Lulabamanaba janama satsange taraye baba Lulabamanaba janama satsange taraye baba Vajahude manam srivandanandana abhaya charanara Vitayasapam Bhankubadishana
Welcome back. I want to continue a little more in the Bhagavatam, please. Actually, I want to continue a lot more. The last purport and the next verse. Where were we? My pages got skewed. 32 now? Wow. Jumped way ahead. Okay. My dear Prabhu, who's speaking? When these great persons who are free from false ego act piously in this world, they have no selfish motives to fulfill. And even when they act in apparent contradiction to the laws of piety, they are not subject to sinful reactions. How then could the Lord of all created beings, animals, men, and demigods, have any connection with the piety and impiety that affect his subject creatures? Purport, as explained in text 32, even great personalities empowered by the Lord are free from the laws of karma. Then what to speak of the Lord himself? After all, the law of karma is created by him and is an expression of his omnipotent will. Therefore, his activities, which he performs out of his own pure goodness, are never subject to criticism by ordinary living beings. Yet pada pankachaparaga nisheva tripta. Material activities never entangle the devotees of the Supreme Lord, who are fully satisfied by serving the dust of his lotus feet. Nor do material activities entangle those intelligent sages who have freed themselves from the bondage of all fruit of reactions by the power of yoga. So how could there be any question of bondage for the Lord himself, who assumes his transcendental forms according to his own sweet will? He who lives as the overseeing witness within the gopis and their husbands, and indeed within all embodied living beings, assumes forms in this world to enjoy transcendental pastimes. Purport, we certainly do not assume our bodies to enjoy transcendental pastimes as the Lord does. We eternal souls have accepted material bodies by force because of our foolish attempt to enjoy this material world. The Lord's forms are all eternal, spiritual existence, and cannot be reasonably equated with our temporary flesh. Since Lord Krishna is the Supreme Lord dwelling within the gopis, their so-called husbands, and all other living beings, what possible sin could there be on his part if he embraces some of the beings he himself has created? What fault could there be if the Lord goes with the gopis to a secret place, since he already dwells within the most secret part of every living being, the core of the heart? When the Lord assumes, English pronunciation, a human-like body to show mercy to his devotees, he engages in such pastimes as will attract those who hear about them to become dedicated to him. I'll read that again because when the Lord assumes a human-like body to show mercy to his devotees, he engages in such pastimes as will attract those who hear about them to become dedicated to him. Purport, Srila Jiva Goswami explains in this connection that when Lord Krishna descends to this world in his original two-handed form, out of kindness he manifests that form in a way his devotees conditioned in human society can perceive and understand. Thus here it is stated, Manusham deham astitaha. He assumes a human-like body. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur glorifies the Lord's conjugal pastimes, stating that those romantic affairs have an inconceivable spiritual potency to attract the polluted heart of conditioned souls. It is an undeniable fact that any pure or simple-hearted person who hears narrations of the loving affairs of Krishna will be attracted to the lotus feet of the Lord and gradually become his devotee. Otherwise, from the result of an impersonal conception of the Supreme is that one inevitably has to come back to the material world. Yene evren ravindaksha vimuktamaninas tvayastabhava bashudha budaya aruya krishnena paramparam tata patantyato nadirta yushmarangraya. The demigods include this in their prayers to Lord Krishna within the womb and say that any kind of liberation in this world that doesn't include becoming attracted to the Lord's pastimes and his personality, his form, is short-lived. In the scheme of eternality, it's short-lived. And they at some point will fall back down again because anandamaya abhyasat, it's the nature of the living soul, the living being, conscious living being wants ananda. And ananda comes from variety. And in this material world, variety means man, woman, lots of different colors and trees, but especially man, woman. And that attraction is one is not able to overcome that attraction unless one has a superior attraction to Madan Mohan. Madan Mohan means, it's the name of our beloved deity, Radha Madan Mohan. Madan Mohan means the one who defeats Cupid. In this world, Cupid defeats everybody. He's called Ananga because Lord Shiva burned him to, as Ranaswami says in one lecture, not to ashes, but to nothing. So he's invisible. And he sneaks up on us when we're not expecting it. And even a sea cow. I saw one in an aquarium. And no offense to sea cows anywhere, but it's the ugliest creature I ever saw in my life. Except for maybe insects when you make a big picture, when you give a blown-up picture of them. And sea cows, male and female sea cows are attracted to one another. the female sea cow has little longer lashes. And the male goes, oh my God. And so it's inevitable that one will be attracted by Cupid in this world, sea cow or any other form of life, unless one becomes attracted to Madan Mohan. Radha, Madan, Mohan are the beginning stage where we begin to feel something pulling us. It's like, well, maybe later with this other stuff. I'll put it off. I know it's there, it's really important, but this seems better. And then it becomes more pronounced that actually, I know it's better. And the other things, like, I hope I don't get entangled in it now, because I don't want to waste any time. And then it becomes the life and soul of the devotee who's practicing Krishna consciousness like we are right now. So be careful, because you might become so inextricably attracted to Madan Mohan that you no longer have optimism in having success in the material world. Of course, that's redundant because you already done that, but otherwise you wouldn't be here. But that's the result. And without that, without the Nikunjayuno Ratikeli Siddhai that Prabhupada established all over the world, little kunjas where you can walk in and see Sri Sri Radha Madan Mohan, there's no hope. If you go to, oftentimes you go to monasteries, churches, temples, there's nobody there. There's no one, no one comes in and puts a little dab on your, like, wow. Or, here, try some of this. Whoa, where'd that come from? There's more where that came from. It's all pouring out of the spiritual world. And then when the curtains open and the song comes on and the flowers are there, I was thinking this morning, who does this? Spends all morning, all week thinking what I'm going to dress the Lord in. Then the garland makers are there, and then somebody's here 24/7, making sure the Lord gets his meals on time, and then decorating, and then open the curtains. Who are the recipients? That's Nikunjayuno Ratikeli Siddhai. We see the kunj. Of course, we're worshiping in the mood of Lakshmi Narayan in Vaidhi Bhakti practice, but still there's a twinge in the heart, isn't there? Say yes. Yes. Otherwise you wouldn't be here. And that twinge turns into like a strong rope, Madan Mohan, that ties up our heart. And then we have no more interest in the material world. Then we become very valuable because we can fully concentrate on helping other people to come out of the mire of material existence. So extremely important, these pastimes. The Lord comes knowing that without revealing what he looks like and what's going on in the spiritual world and the sweetness of it all, that we would have no opportunity to come out of material existence. You go to other venues and you see nothing. There's maybe a logo or something, but there's no full conception of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as it's been given by Shukadeva Goswami. Okay, we're almost there. 37, correct? Is that correct? The cowherd men, bewildered by Krishna's illusory potency, thought their wives had remained at home at their sides. Thus they did not harbor any jealous feelings against him. Purport: because the gopis loved Krishna exclusively, Yogamaya protected their relationship with the Lord at all times, even though they were married. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur quotes from Ujjvala Nilamani as follows: the gopis' jealous husbands consorted not with their wives, but with doubles manufactured by Maya. Thus these men never actually had any intimate contact with the divine ladies of Raj. The gopis are the internal energy of the Lord and can never belong to any other living being. Krishna arranged their apparent marriage to other men simply to create the excitement of parakiya rasa, which is the mode in which unmarried girls are consorting with a man. The love between a married woman and her paramour. These activities, look up paramour and let's see where it comes from. These activities are absolutely pure because they are the Lord's pastimes. And saintly persons since time immemorial have relished these supreme spiritual events. Paramour.
Oh, so, okay. Paramour is a lover, especially the illicit partner of a married person. And it comes from Middle English, from Old French, par amour, and which means by love. And then the phrase
like amore, right? What about para?
It doesn't say.
It's one word, paramore?
Paramour, yeah.
Paramore, okay.
And then, that's it.
Okay. I'm interested in why I had a thought that amore meant love. What's para? What about etymology dictionary? Let's just see if they divide it up.
I think it says for the sake of love.
For the sake of love. Like para means for the sake of. Right?
Yeah.
Confirmed? We have our research department working on it.
I got paramour as by love.
By love. Para means by in Latin.
I'm assuming, yeah, because it. Yeah. Or French.
Yeah?
French.
It's French. Very good. Any other information? Okay. So the paramour, parakia, means there's some kind of non-standard thing going on. That's why people watch soap operas. Do you know what a soap opera is? They're just affectionately called soaps in America. They came about because it was wildly popular in the 60s, and then it somehow it caught on, and it's probably still going, I don't know. But in the afternoon time, there are these dramas that would take place, and they always had some kind of illicit thing going on. Interaction with seemingly ordinary people, like in a hospital or this and that, but it was the interaction that people were interested in. Like somebody would fall in love with somebody else illicitly, and then there would be all this drama around it. Does this sound familiar? They don't have that in Bollywood? They do. Yeah, okay. So the thing is, everyone wants to hear that. But this is the real thing, the parakiya ras. If you hear that, vikreditam vrajavadur viraham cha Vishnu shadhanvitona shunuyat, if you hear it and you understand what we're hearing now, that this is not a soap. It's the ultimate soap. It's called soap because they ran in the afternoon, they were selling to housewives who were buying soap for their dishwasher, there's pre-dishwasher, for their, for their laundry. You put a little soap in, it's like all soap ads all afternoon, so they call them soaps. That's why they call them soap operas. So everyone wants that. And every movie, unless they have that, it's a documentary, and it's not going to be really popular unless there's some murder or something in it. Some other kind of ghastly rasa. But everyone wants this parakiya rasa. But if you try to touch it here in this material world, you'll be burned to death. Absolutely just degraded by the process. That's why we have 4 regulative principles. Like, don't touch it. If you want it, hear this. You can enter into it properly. Shradhanvito nashrinuyad atavarnayadyat. With the proper context, you can go into this. And then, bhaktim param bhagavati pratilabhya kamam. You will reach the topmost position of bhakti. So how is it possible, if something's actually a mundane, degraded activity, that you're going to come to the highest position of bhakti by listening to it? But shradhanvito nashrinuyad means, thank you, devotees, for checking in online. Hare Krishna. that it's fully transcendental. And just by hearing about it with the proper context, then you'll be able to overcome the dread disease of the heart. Something I've said almost 3 times in this class today. Okay, finally, after an entire night of Brahma had passed, everyone okay? Yes. Almost the entire day of Brahma has passed in our morning program today, right? Lord Krishna advised the gopis to return to their homes. Although they did not wish to do so, the Lord's beloved consorts complied with his command. The thing is, if you're so absorbed in doing bhajan, hearing and chanting, hearing Bhagavatam, doing bhajan, seeing the deities, that you don't notice that time is passing. Like if you're in a class, if you're used to hearing just a little bit, then a little bit longer class seems like, oh, wait a minute, I thought we were supposed to stop after 39 minutes or something like that. But if you get used to hearing and chanting, then a whole day doesn't seem like enough. That's how you know you're advancing in spiritual life, if you want to hang around in here all day long. And if you have to leave for 10 seconds, you get an anxiety. So I remember when Giriraj Maharaj first came here for the opening, and he went into the other room, and he came back and sat down. He says, every room, including the bathrooms, has sound, so you don't miss anything. And only someone who's always dialed in would notice that. Always, like, where's the sound vibration? You can't, do without it. In the Bhagavad Gita 8:17, Lord Krishna explains, by human calculation, 1,000 ages taken together is the duration of Brahma's one day. As such also is the duration of his night, and such. Thus, 1,000 ages entered within a single 12-hour night when Lord Krishna performed his rasa dance. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti compares this inconceivable compression of time to the fact that many universes fit neatly within the 40-mile range of earthly Vrindavan. One may consider that Mother Yashoda could not encircle the small abdomen of child Krishna with numerous ropes, and that another time he manifested many universes within his mouth. The transcendence of spiritual reality above and beyond mundane physics is concisely explained in Srila Rupa Goswami's Lakhu Bhagavatamrita. Evam Prabho Priyanam Cha Damnash Cha Samyasasya Cha Avichincha Prabhavatvad Atra Kinchin Nadurgatam. Nothing is impossible for the Lord, his dear devotees, his transcendental abode, or the time of his pastimes, for these entities are inconceivably powerful. That's why we could distribute 2,000 sets of Bhagavatams by Bhadra Purnima. Correct. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti further explains that the word Vasudeva Numodita indicates that Lord Krishna advised the gopis to assure the success of these pastimes, you and I should keep them secret. The word Vasudeva, a name of Krishna, also indicates Lord Krishna's plenary expansion, who acts as the presiding deity of consciousness. When the word Vasudeva is understood in this context, the word Vasudeva Numodita indicates that the presiding deity of consciousness, Vasudeva, manifested embarrassment and fear of their elders within the gopis' hearts. And therefore, it was only with great reluctance that the young girls returned home. Last verse. Anyone who faithfully hears or describes the Lord's playful affairs with the young gopis of Vrindavan will attain the Lord's pure devotional service. Thus he will quickly become sober and conquer lust, the disease of the heart. Purport, the extraordinary power of Lord Krishna's conjugal, look that one up, pastimes, is clearly revealed here. Qualitatively, the Lord's spiritual loving pastimes are the diametric opposite of material lusty affairs. So much so that simply by hearing about the Lord's pastimes, a devotee conquers sex desire. By reading pornographic literature or hearing about material romance, we certainly do not conquer sex desire, but rather increase our lust. But hearing or reading about the Lord's conjugal affairs has exactly the opposite effect because they are of the opposite nature, being purely spiritual. Therefore, it is by the causeless mercy of Lord Krishna that he exhibits his rasa lila within this world. If we become attached to this narration, we will experience the bliss of spiritual love and thus reject the perverted reflection of that love, which is called lust. As nicely put by Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, Param Drushva Nivartate, once having directly experienced the Supreme, one will not return to material pleasures. Om Tat Sat. So this is a first plank in understanding, or having a Shraddhanvito Nashinu Yad Atavarniyad, to have the context through which one has full faith in hearing about the Rasa Lila pastimes. Otherwise, just as in the assembly with Shukadev Goswami, there may be some doubt. So, wait a minute, what is this? How is this transcendental? And so forth. So, therefore, today is a preface to hearing about Srimati Radharani, who's the first expansion of Krishna, his Swarup Shakti, through which he enjoys loving pastimes. Conjugal means? Conjugal.
Conjugal, adjective, relating to marriage or the relationship of a married couple.
Yeah. And what was the other word we heard before that? Paramour. Which is more appropriate in describing Krishna's pastimes with the gopis? Is that your final answer? Really? Anybody else have a difference of opinion? Yes, go ahead, please.
Hello, Pranam Jashua Baba. Thank you for the nice discourse. Actually, I had a question regarding
wait,
this.
let's just, I'll take it in 1 second, but I just want to dispose of this particular point. Which is more appropriate? Paramour or conjugal? Conjugal means married, correct? Paramour means not married, but there's a relationship. So which is more appropriate? Anybody else have a different answer? Beg, please tell me something else. What? Both are correct, right? You explain why. Oh, no, use the mic.
So, as we were reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, everybody who has been created is Lord's own property. So, the Lord, everybody belongs to the Lord. So, the gopis are wives of Lord in one way. They are his own energy.
More than that, did Srivatsa leave? Is he in the building? He's out where? Outside? Okay. Somebody else answer this question? This was a nice philosophical answer. Which is more appropriate? When we're describing Krishna's relationships with Srimati Radharani and the gopis of Vrindavan, paramour or conjugal? Conjugal means married, and paramour means unwedded love. Yeah, we called you in for this. We flew you in from a different place. You got to use a mic now.
Unmarried love marriage.
Is there another answer also, according to somebody else's opinion?
Sorry,
according to a controversy that Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur had solved for the Gaudiya Vaishnavas?
Yes, Maharaj. Actually, during the time of Rupa Goswami, there were a lot of very traditionalist sadhus in Vrindavan who were very willing or open to accept the fact that Krishna was dancing with the wives of other men and he was unmarried to all of the gopis. And they thought like the Gaudiya Sampradaya were very I guess fanatic in that sense, and like they were not promoting proper Krishna consciousness. So Jiva Goswami in his commentary for Ujjwal Nilamani, he writes that Krishna and the gopis actually get married. And in this way, in many ways, previous acharyas, in a sense, also created this sense of swakiya with Krishna and the gopis, even though it was never swakiya. But this was just so people could accept Gaudiya
Give the
philosophy.
definition of swakiya.
Swakiya is the relationship between husband and wife.
Right. And then parakiya means?
Conjugal love between two people who are not married.
Actually, that's a contradiction in terms. If you say parakiya and conjugal, we just gave the definition of conjugal, which is? Married. So the two don't go together.
Oh, then
Paramore love.
yes, Maharaj.
It's more appropriate. Go ahead.
So then, so this led to, this is called Tatkalika Siddhanta, or Siddhanta that is just presented for the need of the hour. So it's not necessarily the actual Siddhanta. And acharyas do this with the confidence that a future devotee will come along, knowing...
For posterity? For posterity? Say yes.
Yes.
Go ahead.
And they're confident that someone who's well-versed in actual Siddhanta will come along in their sampradaya to clarify all the doubts and controversy that comes along. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur wrote an essay called Swakiyatva Niras Parakiyatva Nirupanam, or the defeating of Swakiya and the establishment and description or bringing to light of Parakiya, in which he shows why Swakiya he defeats Swakiya, and the title is literally what he does. And then he establishes why Parakiya is far greater than Swakiya.
Thank you. You can go ahead wherever you're doing. We'll call you back in if we need you. Okay, so let's see if there's any more questions. Prabhu, you had a question online. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. So the question, Prabhu, is about, it's mentioned here that hearing about Krishna's pastimes with the gopis helps to kind of conquer lust and go towards love for Krishna. And again, also there is another aspect Prabhupada mentioned that for like neophyte devotees, it's not recommended to get into this kind of intimate pastimes of Radha and Krishna, because that can induce the mood of being in shahajiya tendency or like misinterpreting those pastimes. So like how to Prabhu like take both of these instructions and make a balance or like make reasoning out of it? Can you please help with that?
And by doing what we're doing today, we're creating context. This is called the Shraddhan Vito Nashrinu Yad. We're hearing within the context of the philosophy, the ontological understanding of who Krishna is, who Radharani is. So if you miss that part and you just try to enter into the parakiya or the amorous pastimes of the Lord with his consorts, you might think, oh yeah, well I could do that too. I mean, God does it, why can't I? If you're a Mayavadi, you say, well, I'm also God, so I can do it. Big mistake. To not know the philosophy, starting with like, there is a God and you're not him. You're part, but you're not the whole. And great controllers, who are especially the Supreme Ishvara, he's interacting with his energies. So understanding these points in context, therefore, when Prabhupada, of course he says in the first canto, don't go beyond the first 2 cantos if you still have sex desire. But then he gave the 10th canto. Right after he finished the 4th canto, he went into the Krishna book because he thought, well, how will I finish all this? He wasn't sure if he would survive long enough to do it. In fact, he got to 10th canto, 13th chapter, but presciently, look it up, he had gone forward with the summary of the 10th canto. However, when you read the Krishna book, which we distribute at rock concerts, people, what do you got there? Prabhupada gives the context throughout. You'll notice that when he's talking about any of the aspects of the personality of Godhead, what to speak of the rasa dance, he gives the context, Shraddhan Vito Nashrinu Yad. So you're hearing with the proper faith, so that you know what's actually going on here. So that's the answer. Okay, couple more points. Do you have a point? Yes.
They can go first because they have a definition.
Okay. First, we'll take the definition from the research department. Prescient. Prescient. How's it spelled? Presciently. Presciently. Prescient. The answer is?
Prescient, adjective, having or showing knowledge of events before they take place. It comes from Latin, pre, which means before, and scire, which means know, to prescire, and prescient, knowing beforehand.
It's a good word, right? He was prescient in his writing of the Krishna book, because he had an idea that maybe I won't finish the whole 10th canto. Yes.
I have a reflection.
Please.
So while we were reading this, I think, Prabhu, could you go to the 31st verse of what we read? The translation. So in general, while reading the translations and even the purports of these verses, it reminded me a lot of the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And this verse specifically talks about how what the Lord's empowered devotees do are very exemplary. And I was remembering that verse, which is like, whatever a great man does, common man will follow. And by the standards he sets, like the whole world follows. And then previously it was also talking about how no one should imitate Krishna. And in the 3rd chapter of Gita, it also talks about it's better to perform your duty than someone else's duty faultily, because that just leads to destruction. And then over here it talked about how it's the same as someone other than Lord Shiva drinking poison.
Very good correlation. I like that a lot. Thank you. That's to develop that kind of way of being able to connect the Shastras, Shastra Sunipana, to know how they're interconnected and relate the different points is extremely important. It's very good. Well done.
Hare Krishna.
Okay.
Danda.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah.
We can't see you. Yes. Is that Vaikuntha Nayaka? Wow.
Yes, Maharaj. Yes, Vaikuntha Nayak.
Hare
from
Krishna.
Mysore.
From
Danda
Mysore.
Pranam. Yes, Maharaj. So, thank you for the opportunity. And I had a realization and a question. The realization was on this very shloka, the 31st shloka, where actually in one of the paragraphs, Prabhupada takes pot shots at the materialistic definition, where he says that, okay, there is no meaning to life, there is no meaning to this universe, right? And I recently read a statement by one eminent physicist. His name is Neil deGrasse Tyson. And he famously said, the universe has no obligation to make sense to you. I thought, when I heard that, I thought, what a ripoff. It's a euphemistic, roundabout, sugar-coated way of saying that I am clueless, right? As a physicist, he is supposed to actually try to make sense of the universe. He is getting funds for that, but then he has no qualms in saying that, okay, you are not supposed to understand the universe or something, right? So I thought it's what a cheating propensity that is being exhibited here. And I had a question as well, if I may. This is about that point where it was described that how Lord Shiva drank the poison, and you mentioned that the poison comes out at the beginning of any big project, right? So my question is that when we undertake a project, when the poison comes out, do we take it as an indication from Krishna saying that, okay, this is not for me, or we take this pastime as an example and say that, okay, I need to persist on it, and this is the poison that is going to come before the nectar, right? So if you could please highlight that. Thank you.
Well, when we're doing our service for Krishna, we don't know what the result's going to be. And we leave that part up to Krishna. Because, as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, do thou fight for the sake of fighting without considering loss or gain, victory, defeat. And this is the mode that the devotees work in. As you can see, Prabhupada had full faith in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's potency, but he didn't know exactly what the result would be. And there were successes and failures while he was spreading the Sankirtan movement. And sometimes it looked extremely poisonous. There was a time in which Prabhupada had noted that the Gaudiya Math had, not that the Gaudiya Math's bad, there were elements within the Gaudiya Math who had infiltrated ISKCON to try to belittle Prabhupada and put his position at a lower level because they were envious. Somebody, I'm not saying everybody was. There are great souls in the Gaudiya Math, obviously. So this was like poison. And Prabhupada had to basically drink it and move on. And there were onerous developments throughout his spreading of Krishna consciousness, but he didn't curtail his activities. I think the one we've heard recently, and we may have mentioned even in this class, and His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj brought up also from his book, while building the Juhu project, there was a time at which it looked impossible to get the permits. There were people deliberately trying to stop the whole project, and Prabhupada said, oh well, turn it into a bus stop. And the devotees would go out, distribute books, and then come back and stop here. And so we take whatever Krishna gives us and we try to follow his instructions in the Bhagavad Gita, in which he says that the devotees aren't dependent on any particular result. And they also don't become the enemies of their enemies. They also become, they stay determined in the face of obstacles and so forth. So it's not inevitable that the poison comes out first. It might come later also. But at any time, we have to prepare ourselves, and in fact, it's a way of preparing ourselves to be Krishna conscious, or to developing our Krishna consciousness by spreading Krishna consciousness because of the obstacles we have to face. And the only way to successfully face them is by following Krishna's instructions. Be humble and tolerate and so forth. And when we learn to work in that refined way, then we become very dear to Krishna. And that's our ultimate goal. Om Tat Sat. You can always find somebody to drink the poison. So you should have connections with very powerful people. Because devotees who have more experience in handling these things, if you take your problems and you say, look at this, I'm finished, they'll go, no, not really. I've seen worse. We've gotten through these types of things before. We have to work together. And we have to have good alliances and good mentors to be able to take us through difficult situations. I was never into management. I avoided it very artfully for many years. And then when I got into management, somehow, inconceivable, then, I had an extreme case on my hands, and I worked with some devotees, one who was extremely experienced, especially in legal cases. It was a legal case. And I just saw he showed up with his lunchbox every day, figuratively speaking, because it was all phone calls. It was not during COVID, it was before that. But I just noticed, well, why is he not rattled? I'm rattled, why isn't he rattled? And it's like, it's a legal case. You just deal with it day to day until it's finished. And that was his job for Krishna, still is. And I was impressed by that. I learned something from that. So You find your Lord Shiva somewhere. And he says, please, my dear Prabhu, could you show me how to deal with this situation? And it's like, yeah, you just show up. It's up to Krishna how it turns out. As it turned out, it was a miraculous outcome to the case, and it was solved. One night when I was driving home from ISV, I got a phone call from the attorney. He said, case was solved. I said, you're kidding me. How could that have happened? It's like, we just showed up and we tried. And there were the right people there. So you just have to keep going. And that's how you become strong in Krishna consciousness. You got to keep going. Even though you feel like you're inadequate, you have to follow Krishna's instruction. And you have to take some responsibility for your life, for your vows, and also for spreading the Krishna conscious movement. If you want to get strong at something, you have to take some resistance. Otherwise, you can hang back forever and never, get that. You were going to say?
Prabhu, I was also thinking about the other point that you mentioned in the class today, in the beginning of this, the reading, how you mentioned that this conversation between Shukadeva Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit, Shukadeva Goswami is giving us the details based on the audience. And then how Srila Prabhupada also, in his classes when he speaks, even if it is from Bhagavatam, he only gave the way that his audience understood what he was speaking. And even in his books as well, that every purport he gives the full context, make sure that people don't misunderstand. So I was appreciating how Arjuna, they all cleared a path for all of us in this world, so that we have the same questions, but we had an authoritative answer that was given by Krishna or by Shukadeva Goswami. So I was appreciating that.
Yeah, it's an excellent point, Srivas Prabhu. And we therefore have a great debt to the previous acharyas. Devarshi Bhutatnam Piternam, it's mentioned that the Devas, the Rishis, everyone, they've passed down these mantras, all the Shastra, all the commentaries, and it's like, gee, thanks. No, you have to pay back. You have to distribute it also, and you also have to imbibe it and exemplify the principles in it to pay them back. It's necessary. Don't be a miser. Prabhu.
So earlier you mentioned about the soap operas, and it struck me, and I thought that Bhagavatam actually, when we were describing about the pastimes of Krishna, it's also a soap opera, but I thought it was the soap for the soul, because it is pleasurable at the same time and it's cleansing at the same time. So I just wanted to bring that.
One of the most famous soap operas on television, long-standing, is called The Young and the Restless. That describes Vrindavan. They're young and they're restless. Like, where's Krishna? And then Krishna's like, where are they? They're constantly, it's that mood of being restless without Krishna, and Krishna without his devotees feels restless. So that's the ultimate soap. Yes.
Maharaj, on the point of Krishna's relationship being conjugal and paramour.
Yes.
The 22nd chapter of 10th canto, there's the pastime where gopis are worshipping Katyani. Gopis are worshipping Katyani Devi to have Krishna as their husband.
Yes.
And then Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport that what Krishna does at that point of time with them can appropriately be done only by a husband with a wife.
Yes.
So he is accepting them as his wife at that point of time. So that relationship becomes conjugal.
Yeah.
And next autumn, the rasa dance is going to happen. So they're already married.
Right. And even before that, they're his energies. He's the husband already of every living being, actually. We're all female in that sense. Prakriti, we're his energies. Nice point. Yes.
So there was one purport in which Srila Prabhupada says that what is wrong in, Krishna embracing the gopis, because he made them, he can, embrace them. And also he said that there's nothing wrong in him going to secret places because, anyway they have him in the core of their heart. So I just felt that Prabhupada is like an advocate. He defends Krishna everywhere. Of course, the text also, Sukadev Goswami is also like defending Krishna, but Prabhupada adds to it very sweetly. I just like that purport.
Yes, and just for context, that these are servants of Srila Prabhupada in this section of the Bhagavatam, but you can see that there's really no difference, because the disciple has to imbibe the knowledge and the mood of the guru. Now, if you put up these purports starting from 10:14 onward, and you then mix up the purports for somebody who doesn't really know the Bhagavatam that well, otherwise they can pick it out. I've read that before. And you say, which is which, it would be very difficult for anybody to tell, especially there's no difference in Siddhanta. And then the tone is almost identical, although if your ear is tuned, you can understand a few more modern examples here and there. But this is the potency of disciplic succession, that a guru could actually teach a disciple that carry on speaking in the way I spoke. And then there's no dichotomy. That's proof of disciplic succession. Succession means success. Success. The word is there. That's your success. You're able to pass it on to others, and they're doing it now. Well, I wanted to get to a whole other section of the Chaitanya Charitamrita today, but it's too late. We're going to have a Guru Puja, and I'll bring it up tomorrow very briefly. And I'll just give you a preview. It has to do with the difference between lust and love. There's a very important distinction that follows from what we're saying today, because we understand, as Kaviraj Goswami states, that if they're both metals, because they're both desires, so that general category, but one is gold and the other one is iron. Iron means it's a base metal, while gold means it's premium. So the topmost desires are those exhibited by the gopis, and specifically Srimati Radharani. It's a selfless love. They only desire to serve Krishna and not themselves. To the extent of, if they experience ecstatic symptoms that are blocking their service, they're praying, please remove these, we don't want this. Which also points to the fact that if you're the kind of person who, because of very high-minded, high-hearted association of Vaishnavas, is able to develop this selfless mood of service, then Krishna will personally enter into your life and force you to take all kinds of happiness, which at that point you might not even want, because you're like, I'm only interested in serving Krishna. As Prabhupada said, as part of his motto, everything for Krishna, nothing for me. And this is the mood of the pure devotee and the person who is, it's the only person who's actually happy and enjoying the highest happiness in life. As soon as that becomes contaminated by even a sesame seed of desire, like, no, I want something out of this, then it becomes spoiled. So the Bhagavatam is teaching us, dharma projita kaitavo traparamo nirmatsara. No more cheating. No more cheating, saying I want something for myself, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. It's the fifth goal of life, which is prema. Prema means unsullied, unalloyed, pure love for Krishna. And that starts here in the Sankirtan movement, where we perform service to our gurus and just selflessly give ourselves to helping Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as his servants in Dasya. And from there, naturally, we chant Hare Krishna, and then we'll enter into the mood of Vrindavan by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Thanks everyone for joining us online, and everyone who came all the way down here through the jungle of Silicon Valley to join here in the Naimisaranya forest at ISV to discuss these topics. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai, Shri Shri Panchatattva ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan ki jai, Shri Shri Lakshmi Nrsingadev ki jai, Gaur Premanande Haribo, Vansha Kalpatarubhascha, Kripasandabevacha, Patitanam Pavanibhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha Nantakoti Vaishnavini ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki. and in the only ocean of mercy. Although dwelling in Vrindavan, you have descended for the welfare of fallen souls like myself. You are preaching the divine love of Radha for Krishna. Please be kind upon me. O friend of the lowly, O Gurudev, you are the only ocean of mercy. I'm a doleful and have committed hundreds of thousands of offenses. I have fallen into a dense myriad of sins. Therefore, grace me with your mercy, so that my mind may be fixed on your lotus feet and on Sri Krishna. The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way which we can attain pure devotional service. I bow to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. Our only wish is to have our consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens our darkened eyes and fills our hearts with transcendental knowledge. He is our Lord, birth after birth. From him ecstatic prema emanates. By him ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor, and the Lord and master of the devotees. O Master, be merciful unto us. Give us a shade of your lotus feet. Your fame is spread all over the three worlds. Sri Guru Charana Padma Kevalabha Gati Sadma. Bando mui sabadana ke. Bando mui sabadana ke. Jahar prasade bai bhavato riyata. Krishna prapti hoy jaha hoy te. Krishna prapti hoy jaha hoy te. Guru mukha padma bhakya chitete ko hiya aikya. Guru mukha padma bhakya chitte kuriya ekya. Anakori ho Anakori ho maniya. Shri Guru Chaurane Rate Yeshe Utama Kate Je Prasade Pude Sarva Je Prasade Pude Sarva Chakudanto Te Janme Janme Prabhu Se Vidya Gyan Mere Prokashita Vidya Gyan Mere Prokashita Prema Bhakti Daha Hoite Aditya Vinasa Sate Prema Bhakti Daha Hoite Aditya Vinasa Sate Tere Gai Jahara Charita Tere Gai Jahara Charita Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adama Janana Bandhu Guru Karuna Sindhu Adama Janana Bandhu Lokanath Lokera Jivana Prabhupada Lokera Jivana Ha ha Prabhu Pora Goya Deha More Pada Shaya Prabhu Pora Goya Deha More Pada Shaya Divijashti Shiktivana Divijashti Shiktivana Mahaprabhu Pora Goya Te Amore Pada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaste Saraswati Namaste Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashtatya Desatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta-vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Yadvaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Haraya Namah Krishnaya Devaya Namaha Yaravaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha Gopal Govinda Ram Srimati Sudan Hari Gopinath Madan Mohan Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Sita Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita Shri Rup Shri Sanatan Bhakta Raghunam Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunam Jai Gosai Kori Charana Vandam Jaha Hoite Vijnanath Abhishta Puran Jai Gosai Dharmi Tardas Tansavara Pararinu Mora Panchagras Tangara Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanivas Chaname Chaname Hoye Abilan Jai Gosai Jabe Bhajye Koilabas Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Koila Prakash Shri Shri Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Koila Prakash Bolo Anande Bolo Hari Bhakta Vrindavan Bolo Anande Bolo Hari Bhakta Vrindavan Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Madhuryaman Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Bhajna Kori Ash Hare Nam Sankirtan Goy Narottam Das Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Haribo Haribo Hey Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Nitai Go Haribo 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 Nitai Go Haribo Hare Hey Radha Govinda Gopala Hare Bhajare. Hey, Radha Govinda Gopala Hare. Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda, Radhe Gopala, Radhe Gopala, Bhajare. Hey, Radha Govinda Gopala Hare. Radhe Govinda, Radhe Gopala, Radhe Gopala, Radha Shamasita, Radha Madhava, Radha Ramana,
Radha Murlidhara,
Rukmini Dwarkadesh,
Rukmini Dwarkadesh, Radha London Ishwari, Radha London Ishwar, Radhe Gopala, Radhe Gopala. Go for it.
Kishore Kishori,
Kishore Kishore, Radha Damodar, Radha Damodar,
Radha Gopinatha,
Radha Madan Mohan,
Radha Mohan, Radha Golokananda, Radha Gokulananda,
Radha Madhu Bihari,
Radha Nila Madhava, Madhava,
Radha Madan Mohan,
Radha Madan Mohan, Radha Giridhari, oh Radha Giridhari, Radha Ramana,
Radha Vijay Govinda,
Kishore Kishori,
Kishore Kishore, Bhajare. Shri Bhagavan को मेरे बारंबार प्रणाम है, मेरे बारंबार। ऐसे श्री ज्ञान श्याम को मेरे बारंबार प्रणाम है, ऐसे श्री ज्ञान श्याम को मेरे बारंबार प्रणाम है। Nitai Gora Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Nitai Gora Hari Bo. Nitai Gora Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Nitai Gora Hari Bo. Jai Om Vishnupad, Paramahamsa, Parivraj, Kacharya, Stotra, Shishimad, Bhai Charanaravind Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad, Paramahamsa, Parivraj, Kacharya, Stotra, Shishimad, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Ananta Gaudiya Vaishnavini ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Jai. Prem Gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gokopina Shamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Navadip Dham ki Jai. Shri Jagannath Puri Dham ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi ki Jai. Jamuna Devi Ganga Devi ki Jai. Samveda Bhaktivinoda ki Jai. Shri Sita Thakurani Maha Mahotsav Avirbhav ki Jai. All glories to the similar devotees. All glories to the assembled devotee. All glories to the assembled devotee. Today we have announcements from at least two departments. One is from our Sankirtan department and the other from the Bhakti community. So let's start with the Bhakti community. Okay, go ahead, Bhakti community start, and then we'll finish with the Sankirtan book distribution. Prabhu, you're up. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna. Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for the opportunity. As you know, Bhakti community is an online community primarily focused on introducing Krishna consciousness to newcomers. So whenever you come in contact with newcomers, either giving books or your meet friends and families, please do introduce Bhakti community. Yes?
I need a little, like, card or something like that, that it tells me how to, step by step, introduce somebody to Bhakti community. I notice people are bringing in others, but I'm not exactly sure of the process, to be honest with you.
Thank you for bringing that important point. We do have a web page called bhakticommunity.com/invite-newcomers. So that's the page. So if you go there, it does have instructions around an email template which you can use, or even a WhatsApp message you can use. Thank you for the idea. We'll also create a small card, Bhakti community card, which will have instructions on how to invite newcomers as well. So thank you for that
Thank
idea.
you.
Yeah. So today, I'm very happy to announce, as we announced in the 125th celebration of Prabhupada birthday earlier this week, that Comunidad Bhakti is officially live. And
Bravo!
It has been a tireless effort on part of Prema Rupa Madhav Prabhu, Prema Rupini Madhavi Mataji, as well as Janki Mataji and the entire team who have been working hard for last several months to make this a reality. I will hand it over to Janki Mataji to give an overview of what the team has done. Thank you, please.
Hare Krishna. So it's taken us 9 months of, and Guru Maharaj talked about obstacles today. You know, a typical site like Bhakti community, any location takes it takes about 1 or 2 months, but this has taken 9 months, and mainly because the content needed to be translated into Spanish. And everything that we know about the US is kind of, you know, like how do you market, what are the programs, what are the videos, everything had to be translated, everything had to be customized for the Latin America population. And so it's taken us 9 months, and we're finally here. It's taken a whole team to make this happen. We are launching with 4 programs. 21-day spiritual fitness, bhakti circle, mantra music, and some other programs. And those are the translations that we have. We're going to start with our first video, which is Bhakti Community, Bhakti Circle program. The content is still being translated, but we have the first set of videos translated, and we're going to start that program. So it's really taken a lot of effort and going through a lot of obstacles, but we're finally here, mainly because of the motivation of the team. So,
Bravo! Sadhu, sadhu.
If you can make pin Prema Rupa Madhav Prabhu and Prema Rupa Madhuri Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We are very happy to be there with all of you, and yeah, we are very happy, very enthusiastic with this program. So we did, the translation for the 32 weeks. We already have all the material translated. We are working in the videos. We already have some of them already done. We have the promotional video that is wonderful. Maybe we can share some part, the same video, but speaking in Spanish. Yeah, I think that you will like that. And I like to appreciate all the effort of all the team. So we are very happy. We feel very comfortable. The ISB mood is there, and we love that. So we can see like part of this promotional video in Spanish. So you can see how is done if you want, just 1 minute maybe.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
¿Estás abrumado por obstáculos o dificultades constantes? ¿Estás insatisfecho a pesar de trabajar duro día tras día? ¿Estás buscando un significado y propósito más profundos en tu vida? Bienvenido a Comunidad Bhakti, una comunidad online de buscadores espirituales dedicada a las artes y la práctica del Bhakti Yoga, el yoga del amor y la gratitud. En esta comunidad online encontrarás todos los recursos que necesitas para que una práctica espiritual alegre forme parte de tu vida cotidiana. Con nuestro desafío de entrenamiento espiritual de 21 días, aprenderás a generar nuevos hábitos saludables basados en las ancestrales prácticas del Bhakti Yoga, para armonizar tu cuerpo, mente y espíritu. También puedes unirte a nuestro Círculo Bhakti, un programa online donde puedes conocer maestros y buscadores espirituales mientras profundizas en la sabiduría atemporal del Bhakti Yoga, que te aportará claridad interior. Explora nuestro programa de música con mantras, que ofrece meditaciones y música inspiradora para calmar la mente y nutrir el corazón. Y este es tan solo el comienzo. Te ofrecemos una gran variedad de propuestas para apoyar tu inmersión en el Bhakti Yoga. Nuestro objetivo es que Comunidad Bhakti te empodere para experimentar la sabiduría y transformación sanadoras del yoga del amor y la gratitud. Por favor, visita comunidadbhakti.com para unirte a nuestra comunidad. Síguenos en Facebook y YouTube. Te damos la bienvenida.
Bravo.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your blessings. Thank you for trust in us and to give us this opportunity to serve together with all of you. It's an honor for us, really.
Sadhu, sadhu.
So we request all the blessing, especially you, Maharaj. Please give us your blessing. We will launch the first Bhakti Circle, 28th of September, 7 p.m. Argentina time. So it will be there 3 p.m. So please pray for us and give us all the blessings. We need your blessings to make this possible.
Dear Srila Prabhupada, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shri Panchatattva, Shri Radha Madan Mohan, Shri Lakshmi Nrsingadev, if you so desire, please empower Team Sukulo Bhakti. What's the other one?
Comunidad.
Bhakti Comunidad, to excel in spreading Krishna consciousness, especially amongst the Spanish-speaking public, and bring them closer to your lotus feet. And please let them surrender to the process of devotional service so we can all go back home, back to Godhead together. Thank you for considering our request. Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna.
In addition, they do have their own Vaishnava Sangha Lava goals. So with this, they will be embarking on that journey so that they can bring newcomers, Spanish newcomers, to the Bhakti, Krishna consciousness. So thank you very much, Prem Prabhu, Madhav Prabhu, Prem Rupini Madhi Mataji and Janki Mataji for the overview. As you know, it takes a village to bring up a child, and of course, Bhakti Bhakti took a city or continent, people across continents. So I do want to thank His Grace Vaisesika Prabhu, who has been the motivation, inspiration, which made this a reality. Prema Rupa Madhav Prabhu and Prema Rupini Madhavi Mataji. They are such a bunch of positive energy that whenever I'm Pavani Bhakti and I have been interacting with them, we are always uplifted, and because of their energy is what this has become a reality. So thank you so much, both of you, for your leadership, for your motivation, and for the inspiration to the entire team. Prem Rupa Madhav Prabhu, I will request you if you can maybe talk through the other members of your team, because you have more closely know them. If you can maybe quickly go through them and describe what contribution they have done, please.
Yeah, please. Yeah, I want to thank you, Jaima Prabhu. You are the head here, so we are trying to serve under your shelter. Thank you so much. Yeah, okay, we have Fanendra Gaura Das Prabhu, that he's doing the part of technical things, website, everything. We have Pablo Prabhu, he's doing the translation. Lalita Brajagopi Mataji also in the translation. Premagni is also in that part, and also in the Facebook. Kanakangi and Kishore, the couple, they are the recording. The voice that you hear was Kishore Siam Prabhu voice. Gabe, Bhakta Gabriel, also he's doing the edition. He's doing in the video. Diego also is working on the edition. Alejo is doing the sound. He's a professional musician. Ananta Rupa Mataji, she's doing all the translation. I mean the final revise of all the Spanish translations. Subangi is also helping on that in the translation. Mahanandini is working on that also. Gokulananda was working with us in the beginning and support us. Shalini, yeah, she worked with also with Janaki Mataji and Siddha Katha Prabhu also, and of course you and Pavani, that you are everything for us here.
And thank you so much, Janu Mataji, that you are always there for us. And if we need something at whatever time we need, you always are there. Thank you so much. Also, Jai Madhava, for your patience, and because sometimes we don't know how to do these things of web and Facebook and all these technological things. So you are always helping, and special for Vaisesika Maharaj for inspire all of us to do this. And having your blessing, we are so happy to start this new service for the pleasure of Srila Prabhupada to you. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. And thanks everyone for, please pray and bless them for the team so that they can continue with progress. quick other updates. This week we will not have Bhakti on because it conflicts with Radhashtami, but we do have the Bhakti Circle program on Thursday. Spiritual Fitness will continue on Friday and Bhagavad Gita on Sunday. Also missed to include here, Spiritual Youth Circle university team is going live tomorrow. They will discuss moods and modes. They have made it very funny. So in case you know youth who might be benefiting, please go to spiritualyouthcircle.com and register so that they can be included. Thank you so much for the opportunity for presentation today.
Haribol!
Hare Krishna. We have 9 days left before our Bhadra Purnima. Today we wanted to show a video where you can all send it to your friends. This is about the Gram Vidyadan. Prabhu, would you like to please?
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
To Gram Vidyadam, a way to preserve the great wealth and legacy of India.
Do-over.
What is the great wealth of India? It's knowledge. Sanatana. It's my great pleasure to introduce you to Gram Vidyadam, a way to preserve the great wealth and legacy of India. What is the great wealth of India? It's knowledge. Sanatan Dharma, knowledge of our higher self, our eternal identity, and our relationship to the Supreme. When that's forgotten, all is lost. No technology, science, or material resources can make up for the loss of Sanatan Dharma. And the knowledge has to be distributed to people all over India and the world. This is India's great gift to the world, but charity begins at home. Villages all over India, which are the mainstay of its culture, are being lost to other ideologies. Now, through Gram Vidyadam, we are placing Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Sri Ishapanishad, and Ramayana within these villages, painstakingly going from one to the next and making sure that they go into the Panchayat centers and that there are educational programs for everyone in the village. The result? People are coming alive. They're remembering their culture. They're so happy to read these books. They feel a purpose in life again. Please help us. We are doing this program by the thousands and now tens of thousands. Let's work together. If you donate $200, you will support one village with Vedic knowledge and a teacher who will help to disseminate it to the people in the village so they can support themselves. Thank you very much for helping. Hare Krishna.
As you've seen, we have actually contacted devotees from all over India. We have His Holiness Bhaktesh Purushottam Maharaj. He's doing the tribal villages. He's preaching in tribal villages, and he's covering six states. And he agreed when we called them that he's agreed to take the Bhagavatams if he sponsor, and will place in all those villages. And we have someone from Gujarat who is doing Padayatra on bullock carts, and he's going village to village in Gujarat to distribute the Srimad Bhagavatams. We have someone similarly from Tamil Nadu, we have from Maharashtra, we have Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, all these states, and they're ready, and we have places where we can put 1,000 Srimad Bhagavatam sets at least. So please spread this word around. Just for $200, we can actually empower an entire village, as you saw in that video. And we only have 9 days left. So request is...
One village I'd like to sponsor.
Okay. Radha Kripa, His Grace Vaisesika Prabhu, 1 village. And Radha Kripa Prabhu wants 5 villages.
Haribo!
Do you prefer a state, Prabhu?
How much for a state? Yeah, you should sell them in bunches like bananas.
Okay, 5 villages for Radha Kripa. Oh,
Haribo!
3 villages. Janki Mataji, 1 village.
Haribo!
Oh. Sundar Prabhu wants 5 villages.
Haribo! That's more than Duryodhan gave the Pandavas.
Yeah. I mean, oh, Prabhu. Your name, Prabhu? Sumit Prabhu wants to sponsor 1 village.
Sadhu, sadhu.
Okay. Sachindra Prabhu, 10 villages.
Haribo!
Maybe there is a state which has 10 villages. Okay. Charunimai Prabhu, 1 village.
Haribo!
This is just a preview. We just wanted to have this word around. So it would be very helpful if you can spread this word. We will share this video, and then if you can circle it around your Facebook, your WhatsApp, or any other circles that you have in your work, office, everywhere. And we will make sure, if they have special requests, not only a particular state, but if they have special village there where they want to send it, we will make sure that the Bhagavatam reaches that village. So please spread this word around. We only have 9 days left. And any other ways where you can think that we can distribute Srimad Bhagavatams, we can do it. And coming to, Ujjvala Rasam.
Sadhu, sadhu.
Ujjvala Rasa Mataji said 1 for her village. So, which village is that, Mataji? The name? Petla. Petla in Gujarat gets 1 set of Srimad Bhagavatam. Jai. Yeah. Oh, Prabhu. Your name, Prabhu? Sandeep Prabhu.
Bravo, bravo. Sadhu, sadhu.
What is the name of your village? Jakrana near? Albor. Wow. Rajasthan.
Haribo.
Rajasthan ki jai.
Ki jai.
Radha Govinda ji ki jai.
Jai.
Okay.
Can everyone spread that around? Because if you can influence at least 3 people to get a village, it would be really helpful.
Yes. So when you go to the video, we have a page. Prabhu, can you project ISKCON Vidyadan? We have all the information there where they can donate.
And if somebody wants to put a meme up on their page, can we share something we can pass along? They can just post it and...
Yes, Prabhu, we can make that arrangement. Yeah. Yeah, this page, if you go down, there is a place for you to donate, and you can also see the same video as well.
Okay.
Okay. And we have the Sankirtan spots today, as devotees are going to. There is an Art and Wine Festival right across the street in Mountain View today. So one team is going there, one team is going to Santa Cruz, one team is going to Indian stores, and any other team? Did I miss Haldarup Prabhu? Okay. And we are doing one team in Mountain House today. Apparently all the people from Cupertino moved to Mountain House. So we are trying to go and visit them back again. And one team is going to Pleasanton, one team in Fremont, and one team in Cupertino. So please try your best to spread this word around, and we'll do a countdown, 9 more days to go. Hare Krishna.
Haribo! Any information about the western wing of the temple? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. Today's Prashadam was cooked by Koladvip Prana Prabhu and Shama Bhakta Prabhu.
Haribo! Sharira Vijaja Jyotindriya Taheka Jive Pele Vishaya Shogare Tarmadye Dibayati Lobo Muisu Durmati Take jeta katita shantare Krishna Bodha doya moy Kori bare jihva jai Saprasha anadilo bai Shayanamrita pao Radha Krishna Gunagam Preme Dako Shri Chaitanya Nihita Preme Dako Shri Chaitanya Nihita Mahaprasade Govinde Nam Brahmadi Vaishnave Sapapunya Patham Rajan Isha Shona Vijayate Prasade Sarvadukana Hanirasya Upajaya Prasanna Chetaso Yashu Buddhipaya Patishtete Tayopa Bhutta Srakyanda Vasalankara Charchitaha Utishta Bojino Dasas Tavamayam Jayemahi Varhapidam Natavara Vakukarnyo Karnikam Vibradvasa Kanaka Kapisham Jai Jayantim Chamalam Randran Veno Atada Sudaya Purnaya Gopadrindan Vrindaranya Sapada Ramanam Pravisharapita Kirti Tavakatamritam Tapta Jivanam Kavirgiritam Kaumashapaham Shavana Mangalam Sri Marakatam Buriganantiye Burigajana Krishna Kirtana Anandatanakala Pato Jani Brajita Sabhakta Valihamsa Chakra Madhuka Shreni Viharaspadam Karnanandika Radhaniva Hatume Jiva Marupram Gane Shri Chaitanya Gaya Nita Rolasha Lila Subhasarini Elambunita Kiraya Vishakaya Pronjivaramodaya Shamyashastra Vivadaya Rasat Shapa Eko Anilita Malati Surabaya Rodha Kadamba Nila Sachai Vasmita Kapi Prapta Surata Vyapara Lila Vida Shravane Parikshirabhavad Vaisesika Kirtane Saladasmarane Tarangri Bhajane Lakshmi Pitu Pujane Akrurastra Vibandane Kapapati Daseta Sakirtina Krishna Katha Aradyo Bhagavan Rajeshatanayas Tadama Vrindavanam Ganga Kachirupasana Vratavidu Bhardena Yakalpita Srimad Bhagavatam Brahmamahuam Prema Pumarto Maha Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Matamidam Tatsradarana Pradam Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Matamidam Tatsradarana Go Premanande Nitai Gaura Haribo 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 Jai Gaura Haribo Please come take prasadam. Vanchakalpadrivusha kripasnabhevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vishnavebhyo namo namaha.